Namaste, friends. Welcome back to one more episode on Inner Transformation series. And we again have our Sangha members who are here to share their beautiful experiences from all the workshops or training programs that they have attended at QLU. We are so happy today to have with us Swapnamayi, Meeta ji, and Deepti Lalwani. Thank you and welcome to all of you.
Thank you for having us, especially me, all over again.
So it's our pleasure. Last time we missed Swapnamai because of network issues, and Mitaji as well could not join. But we are so glad they gave us time once again, and we can hear their experiences and really learn from them. I'll just give a short introduction about each one of them, and then we will proceed with their sharing. Um, Mitaji is an MA in Vedanta, MPhil, and PhD. She is also a PLR facilitator and angel healer. Her special field of work is Pitridosha, black magic, and spirit attachment. She is the author of Signs of Last Rites, an insightful journey into the world of spirit. Deepti Lalwani is the co-founder of Soul Setu Wellness Foundation, trainer, sound healing and certified rebirther professionally, and a student who learns from her life experiences. Swapnamayi calls herself a student of life. She is a mother of two and is currently working towards completing her doctorate and training in biodynamic craniosacral work. Welcome again, all of you, and welcome to all the viewers. We are so happy to be back once again. So, Swapnamai, can you please share, starting with your journey of how you got to know about Sir and Ma'am and QLU for the first time? And and yes, one more time, I want to express my gratitude to Brahmashri Chakravarti, Dr. Newton Kondaviti, and Brahma Vidvarishta, Dr. Lakshmi Newton. They are the teachers because of whom we are all here today, and I'm so grateful. On behalf of all of you, I express the gratitude to both of them. Thank you. Can you please share your journey the first time? Yes.
Yeah, like I would continue with the feeling of gratitude. Uh, it's been, I think, a good 13 years now since I first came across or met the doctors. Uh, and it has simply been a pleasure to be under their care, if I may say so, all these 12 years, all that I've been through and gone through, and where I am. So, in after my daughter was born, she is a wonderful being. She was beautiful. My husband was extremely supportive. My career was doing extremely well. And yet, there was this enormous amount of grief that I could not wrap my head around. Is when I started looking out and looking at things that could bring about some change in my life. At that fortunate moment, my hands came Illusions, and then it followed by the book Illusions, and then it followed by Many Masters, Many Minds. And I thought that a lot of my visions, I've been practicing Vipassana very young, since I was 18. Maybe I was too young to understand the essence of what was happening that time, and some images were coming to me, but the teacher only told me to watch my breath and not pay attention to what is showing up. I must have misunderstood, and I kept holding on to the images, but that only made things worse for me. I used to go through a lot of migraines at that point of time. Somehow I felt intuitively that PLR was my answer. So after I read Dr. Brian Weiss, I started looking up where I could get this assistance or this guidance in India. When I looked up, there right on the top came a name saying Life Research University or Academy at that point of time. And Dr. Newton's name showed up, and on the website there was a particular Pune contact number that was there. I live in Pune, so when I called, I was told that there was an upcoming 2-day workshop, and I should attend that if I was generally exploring possibilities of healing. So I signed in, and the first day I went a little ahead of time, and I was sitting there, and Dr. Newton very humbly was setting up his, getting ready for his lecture. After he finished, he sat on his chair, and of course, we came face to face and we greeted each other. And then he just looks at me and he says, you're going to see yourself as a monk many, many times. I still a little bit of a
Wow.
skeptic, was like, is it okay? Maybe, let's see. And then the magic began. The minute age regression started, uh, my right hand began to rise of no accord. It just started rising up this way. All my life, in my family, I had been told that I was born with the umbilical cord around my neck, and therefore I was black blue when I was born, and things like that. But nobody had really mentioned the details of how it was. So, for a skeptic mind, for a very long time, I tried to control that automatic movement. Uh, and then suddenly, at one point of time, I could sense that I should surrender. I should surrender. I should allow this surrender. I'm in a safe space, and I can very clearly say that it was because it was Dr. Newton leading the whole meditation that it was possible to surrender. I let that whole process go through, and after that particular meditation was done, I called back home to check with my mother, and she said, yes, one of the wounds was around your hand too, your right hand too. And that's when the walls, the iron walls that I had within me began to melt down. Still questioning, but I had faith, I had belief, and I continued my journey with the doctors. Uh, After the first workshop, what I really appreciated and what I really loved about both of them was the unconditionality they could extend. For the first time, I think I began to allow my child, the inner child in me, to actually be that in their presence. Till that, I had not known how to be a child in a way. Uh, of course, I was extremely, extremely taken back from the miracle that was unfolding in my life. And obviously, I was very openly sharing it with some of my friends who insisted that they go to doctor workshops following Dr. Newton's following workshop in Pune. At that point of time, it was allowed that if you introduce two new members, you could attend the workshop. So obviously, I couldn't let go of the opportunity. And since I had introduced two people, I went there. At the end of the workshop, doctor again, in his with his gaze looked into my eyes, and I was telling him, I was expressing my gratitude and telling him how my migraines have come down, how I'm feeling much better. I feel I have direction in my life. I know where I'm going. There is a lot of joy showing up in my being. So I think I'm good. This is where it is. I want to continue with this practice on my own. And then he looks into my eyes and he says, you should do the therapist program. And I said, well, I don't really feel there is a need to. I'll just continue with Vipassana and the self meditation that I do. I don't want to become a therapist really. So he heard me very patiently. And then at the end of all of that, before saying his goodbye, he said, I'll see you in June. And then, as things would have it, I was there in June for the therapist workshop. Uh, and then, of course, it was a lovely gathering of some very deep connects, very deep soul groups. I have two of them listening to me now, and I had Nirmalji that day, and I think we were a group of 28, uh, and
Yeah.
it was such a beautiful gathering that those 6 days, though there was a lot of intense work happening, I think we earned some friendships for life, and it was beautiful. So this was my first encounters with doctor. What happened during the workshop, I think, is a lot of other miracles, of course, came through. I think one of the very intense experiences for me was you know, I remember Dipti was in a session and Dr. Newton was guiding her as a demo session. And then this girl suddenly goes, that Swapnamay is enlightened, and I didn't know where to go. I wanted to really find a rat hole and hide in that hole. And I think I did that for a very long time, because though doctor had said it to me on different occasions, I don't think that it ever sinks into me. It still hasn't. I don't understand what enlightenment is. I just know that I moved after that workshop from internally being a very sad person, someone who was scattered all over the place, to being a person who was doing the same. I was living the same life, but this time I was there with more amount of love, more amount of acceptance, and more amount of willingness. And I think that completely changed the way I perceived what was happening around me. So that is how I met Dr. Newton. Of course, after that, inner child happened, then happened rebirthing breathwork. Recently, last year, I did family constellations with him, and I think I have probably gone through most of the workshops with them. Uh, and it's always, for me, it's a sense of belonging, a sense of wanting to be in their presence. And I know that I might physically not be there, but I've always had their guidance. Whenever I close my eyes and I sit, there are often things that are exchanged, said, taught. Of course, I do write to doctor whenever I'm in trouble and something is really nagging at me, bothering me. Yeah, so there are many, many things that I can share about the experiences, but I think this is the beginning of my journey with Dr.
Yeah,
Newton.
that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Swapnamay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Meeta ji, how did your journey start with the masters and QLU? Can you please share something?
First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Um, it's a little long story like everybody else. Um, I was doing my MA in 2005 after the gap of 25 years of my graduation, and I lost my husband in 2006. That was the time I was in the third semester of MA, and while doing the monthly Tarpan, I did not know anything, but it was in the mind that you should do all these things because it is written, and whoever has told us to do this, they have some reason in the mind. So while doing the Tarpan, both my daughters and I would ask the priests, why should we do this? What will happen when we do this? And there was no logical answer to it. And I was thinking whether what we are doing is right or not. And that was the time I heard this, that this is your life mission. I did not know what is life mission, what is life purpose. It completed, but somehow after my MA, I was like, it is still synchronicity. One thing leading to another. I completed my MPhil, and then it was very firm belief that now I have to do something about what happens actually when you are performing the Shraddha. Because it is in every religion they perform some or other rituals or something. And by that time, like everybody else, I had already read Dr. Brian Weiss and Dr. Newton, who has done vast research in LBL. So I knew I had a thing in the mind that this is the only way I can do the research. But I did not know who will teach me, and I did not even think that I am capable of learning this sacred thing. And Dr. Kavita Chandrasekhar. So she I chanced upon meet her mother. We were good friends, and she happened to tell me that this is what she's doing. That is how I met her, and I got to know that you can learn this. Cutting the long story short, um, I decided that I myself should learn, and I attended the first workshop of 2 days in Pune, which was mandatory in that time, not to like Swapna Mail's time that you introduce two people. So I attended this 2 day workshop, and it was my daughters who actually told me that instead of going to people to work for you as a therapist, why don't you become the therapist, learn the technique, and do your, because this is your work. That is how I happened to attend the first workshop. And yeah, that first workshop was amazing in the sense I had no clue what is past life regression, how it works, except for what I had read in the book. And that was not a, I mean, reading and experiencing two are different things altogether, we know. So when I attended those 2 days workshop, it was, I hope, I'm sure Dr. Newton and Dr. Lakshmi must be remembering this, because I was the only person both the days howling, not even crying. Both the days I was howling like anything. And people were saying that she should stop coming, because she's disturbing everybody. And one particular thing that happened on that second day of the 2 day workshop was that one of the thing that doctor made us do was to make groups of 6 people. And in my group, we were short of 2 people, so he asked somebody to join our group. And then the thing was that somebody should be there, and all the other 5 people will think or see, feel about that particular person. And spontaneously, all the 5 people who were young, I was the oldest one in them, and they told me, okay, auntie, aap udhar khade raho, and we will see what we can sense about you. And in that, all 5 of them, what they realized that in one of the past lifetimes, I was the mother of those 4 boys or men who were there, and only one lady was there. So I was their mother in one of our Egyptian past lifetimes, and I had seen them being killed in front of my eyes live, and it was so shocking for me that I was unable to react or to cry or oppose or anything. And the lady was one of my son's daughter-in-law, and this all 5 of them could sense and see. And to be very honest, I was a person who would cry otherwise also, and I could cry for hours, and I would not know why I'm crying. But that particular day, what happened released all what was there, and that was the last day that I cried like that. I have never cried like that. And then, as they say, this happened in August, the 2 day workshop, and in December, I did the 6 day residential course. That's how I met Dr. Nitin.
That's amazing, Hitachi. Amazing past life experience you have shared, which is also, I mean, you shared so beautifully that in a group process also we can release so much. It's not about us seeing all of that story and all of that, but even the other person can see that. And when we realize it, basically the realization is more important than watching it like a movie. That is a beautiful insight. Thank you. And Deepti, can you also please share your first experience with the masters? How did you think of going towards this?
I would like to first share that I was introduced to meditation by my father. So, me and my sister were introduced to Osho Rajneesh, and we used to go to commune in Pune and meditate. But in 2006, that was a year of my life in which I was going through a phase, and that time I could not reach out to Rajneesh. I could not go and meditate, and there was a time wherein I was actually not allowed to even read his books, or that was the phase of life. And so I was just sitting one day in my room and I spoke to Rajneesh, like, what is this? You have come into my life. I have experienced few things with you. I am in a dilemma. I'm not understanding what is happening. And now I cannot reach out to you or come to you or listen to you. So what is it where should I go? So that was the moment when Dr. Newton and Dr. Lakshmi walked into my life. So it was that time I was in Jaipur. They were conducting a 2-day PLR workshop. So my friend Surbi, she's now staying in Karnal. So she came up to me and said, there is some PLR workshop happening. Let's go. And I have always been a skeptic of esoteric work. I was like, no, this is all hypnosis. This is not right. We just do things which we are told to do, which we are guided into. Okay, go into this, go back in time, X, Y, Z. So she was like, no, it's okay. Still you come for me. I was like, okay, I'll just come for you. So I did attend the workshop, but still I was of the same opinion that, this past life regression is nothing. They were saying and we were doing, because like Dr. Newton explains in the workshop, that everybody has their mode. So I was a kinesthetic. I am a kinesthetic mode. So I could not see anything, and I was listening to people seeing this, seeing that, so much color happening, and so much they were processing. Though, yes, I was processing through the body, but still I was in that skeptic zone that no, this is just because they said it, I have imagined and this has happened. So she was like, okay. Then few days passed. Then again, they were there with family constellation work, a 2-day basic workshop in family constellation. So like again, she said, okay, come for me. So I went again. And when I really actually stepped into that energy field that is created in family constellation, I was given a role of one girl, and then I started behaving like whatever that energy field made me do. And I was just outside also energy field, and inside also I was just weeping and weeping and weeping and crying. And then I played her role. When I came out during the break, she's like, you recited the same words that I wanted to, I was feeling or saying. So that point was the breakthrough for me. Like, oh my, energy works. This is energy. And that day, I totally surrendered to Dr. Newton and Dr. Lakshmi. That was my total acceptance of them in my life. And thereafter, it has been a very, very beautiful journey. And for me, they are those masters who have made me self-responsible. They are the masters who don't come into your life and they like, come, just hold my hand and keep walking. No, they make you self-dependent, self-responsible. Take your journey on your own. We are just there to guide you. We are there as catalysts, as facilitators. So whatever Deepti is today, because whatever I experienced with Osho, Dr. Newton and Dr. Lakshmi helped me understand what was happening. What these experiences meant, it was an integration of experience and knowledge, which actually led to Deepti being Deepti and being a responsible human that she is today. So that was my first encounter, which family constellation work was the work that actually total surrender to the masters. And then, yes, I have been through training, like I was there with you and Swapnamay Di. And the best tool that I have worked with all the tools Dr. Newton has taught us, but the tool I resonate with is rebirthing breathwork, because rebirthing breathwork, like Swapna Maidi just narrated, that I was the demonstration in the PLR workshop for that session, and major understanding came through me during that time. And then the 6-day training was the completion of my journey to find myself. So after rebirthing training, I totally found myself, reclaimed myself back, and started sharing what they have taught us all these years. So it's been like
Wow.
now 14 years. And if I can share more, so I would like to share
Um,
that my soul partner, my husband, is a true gift of the manifestation that Dr. Newton and Dr. Lakshmi always teach us, that we have the power to manifest what we want. So in one of the family constellation 2-day workshop in Delhi, it was held. So there when they ask us to give the affirmation after they are giving the certification, so that's where I manifested my life partner. And I was blessed. I am blessed enough that I was blessed with the sacred wedding in which Dr. Newton and Dr. Lakshmi were my pandits. So
that's
that has been
beautiful.
my beautiful journey with him, and I truly am grateful, because they made me a very responsible being.
Wow, wow. So amazing to hear your experiences of how it all started itself. So I'm so looking forward to hearing more from all of you, because this itself, I am so touched. I almost had tears of joy. Each one of you, it's so different. It's like beautiful how the universe has conspired all of us to be here at one point in time from wherever we were basically scattered all over, and each one of us have come at the right moment, right time in our lives to the masters. I wonder if it was them attracting us or we being ready, really. So amazing. So, Deepti, please continue and share some more of your experiences from any of the training programs that has really helped you so much.
Rebirth, like I just shared, rebirthing breathwork training was the completion. And then I did first PLR. I went in a different way. I did PLR, then I did inner child training, and then I did rebirthing breathwork. And PLR training, like Swapna Maidi shared, that has given me friends for life. Like Swapnamai Didi and I have been on this journey with Dr. Newton from PLR till today, and we are still there for each other, even though we don't meet or we don't talk that often. But we know exactly when we will just type one message, and immediately when you need them, they are there. Vatsala Didi is one of the best person whom I found in PLR workshop. Then I met you, your sister, Nirmal auntie also I met, who was there in the previous episode. She was one of my past life mother. And after the session, I started crying in PLR, and she was the first one who came and hugged me. And it was like literally like I was in the mother's, lap when in that zone. And also Jay Shri Didi also I met in PLR workshop, and she has been there with me, helping me, sharing things with me. And I have learned a lot from her also, because she's a very beautiful, even learning to be very courageous is what comes from her. And then she's a gift through Dr. Newton in my life. And rebirthing breathwork was the basic key which made me understand that, because I used to have a belief that whatever I do or whatever I learn, it is still not enough. Even though I have it, but I cannot do it. I have it, but I cannot do it. So when I went through the rebirthing process and then I connected back to my mother, so this was coming from my womb, because during my pregnancy my mother was all alone. She had just moved to a nuclear family, and even though she was not well, even though she was not physically keeping fit, yet she had to do. And the thought that used to run in her mind during the whole pregnancy was, I cannot do it, yet I have to do it. मुझसे होता नहीं है, मुझे करना पड़ता है. So that's how it was. And then that broke that pattern in me. And then after rebirthing, because even after PLI, people used to say, come do my session. I was like, no, please, I just did it for myself. I cannot do your session. Similarly with inner child work. But when I did the breathwork training, I used to be always the first one when Dr. Newton or ma'am will pair up and say ki who's doing the facilitator and who's playing the demo. I said, I'll be the facilitator. I'll be the first one. You go first, breathe. So that's where after that my journey of sharing these tools started after breathwork. So that pattern broke, that I have everything yet I cannot do anything.
Wow,
So
that's beautiful.
yeah. So I think
Yeah,
we should give chance to others. Otherwise, I'll just keep going, and I can talk
yeah.
and talk. Yeah.
They are here to listen, so we are so happy. But yes, I will now ask Swapnamai to share some more of her experiences.
I'm still trying to absorb what Dipti was saying. But yeah, it was very deep, and I know a lot of her sentiments. So to jump to myself itself is going to take me a few seconds. But okay, so since Dipti was talking about breathwork, let me share some of the major unfoldings during that workshop. Uh, it is maybe I have always known that there's a pattern in my life where I've seeked death uh, subconsciously, if not very aware, uh, right from the point of my birthing. I have always gone to that point and returned, gone to that point and returned. In breath work, very starkly it came into my face that my death urge was, I don't even remember the percentile, because I remember we did some exercise in the beginning where it was a psychokinesthetic exercise where you were supposed to answer how much percent of death urge you were there, and my partner was getting a little cranky and crazy with the amount of percentage I was saying, tell me, tell me, tell me, is this right for you? Is 90% right for you? Is 95% right for you? Is 100% right? And if I remember, I think I felt satisfied when she said it is 600%. So that is the extent of death urge I have held in myself. Not that it all got released then, but I still held. I don't know how and what doctor sensed, but I always used to sit in the right corner on a table during my breathwork workshops. And naturally then I would be almost at his feet during a common session. I remember a few sessions where Dr. Newton actually sat at my head and kept saying, it's okay to cry, Swapnamai, it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. And I was thoroughly frustrated most of the time because I really wanted to. It was stuck here, but it was not coming out. And I wanted to tell him that, really, I want to do it, but it is not coming through. And then I think in the first 2 days, there was this young boy sitting just bang opposite me. And something, how this workshops happen, there is some wiring, unconscious wiring between the souls that are there. He often, when I looked at him, reminded me of a very dear friend whom I've met before. He was a very shy person. He is a very shy person. And I finally approached him and I asked him. This is a story, so I'm going to have to take my time. But uh, I approached him, and I said, you know what, you remind me of a very dear friend of mine, and therefore I keep looking at you. I hope it doesn't bother you. So he says, he's much younger than I am. He said, no, Dee, it's okay, it's fine. And then Dr. Newton that afternoon, at that point of time, I was very immersive in my meditation. Sometimes I would sit there, and if nobody really moved me, I could be in that state for hours together. The minute I closed my eyes, I was with the light, and it was very blissful. But I realize now that it was also escaping from the challenges, the struggles I was really facing at that point of time. And he said that we are going to have an mirror meditation where you look at each other's eyes and you meditate. So, very, very intuitively and very obviously, I turned and I looked at this young boy up there and I said, let's do it together. And he said, yes. So, he told me that he has never felt anything in his meditation. He has felt nothing happened to him. He has neither cried nor laughed. Uh, so I said, okay, let's see what conspires through this exercise. And we sat through that exercise, and I go through this past life revelation that a birth of mine as a cow in a family, in a farmer's family, obviously, which was very, very kind to me. They loved me a lot. And there was this young child who used to play around. So the mother used to let him play around me because somewhere she had that confidence that if danger had to come, I would indicate it or I would take care of the child. Uh, so the story goes that the child was playing with me and I was nudging him with my snout, if whatever it's called, but the mouth and the nose, and I was nudging it. And I was sitting, and the little baby actually crawled up and climbed and sat on my back, right at my nape. And it was all fun, and I was enjoying it, and the child was enjoying it. You know how kids do, they'll pull the animal's ears and hold the horns. And so there was no barrier between the two of us. And suddenly, I jerked my neck because of some insect, maybe a fly that came. And most cows or buffaloes often do that. They just uh, fling their head to shoo away the flies. And I probably did that in that state, and the child fell. In that moment, I knew that I have done something miserably wrong, and I was trying to save that child. And so I got a grip with my mouth. Since I was a cow, I got a grip of the child's right joint over here. And of course, the child didn't survive. And I died of a lot of guilt and I starved myself to death because I felt that I had betrayed the family. Uh, so obviously, I was feeling all this turmoil within myself. And there were tears in my eyes, which would otherwise not happen. And this boy in front of me, this young man in front of me was smiling, grin to grin. So we opened our eyes, and then there was a sharing session, and I said, I saw this, and I know that that baby was you. Now I know that, that is the God that was. And he smiled, and he said, you won't believe this if I told you, but this life, I'm born without this bone. Uh,
Wow.
and I didn't
This
know
is such
where
a
to look, what
validation.
to say. Yeah, I didn't know what to do, what to say. But it was a very, very deep moment. And after that, both of us released a lot of our shyness, a lot of our inhibitions. And I think both of us engaged in a lot of um, emoting very easily, quite effortlessly compared to what both of us were capable of before that. Now, as if this might seem as the end of the story, but uh, right, my room partner, uh, also a lady from Pune. We were three of us sharing a room at that point of time. She and I also have a very, very warm cord between us. So she and we would fun around, and in the sand when we were buried for the sand meditation, we were buried this way. Uh, three of us together. Of course, you know that there is always this conscious, subconscious unfolding happening during a workshop. So a lot was happening. And after the sand meditation, I rose to realize that this room partner of mine was actually that boy's grandmother.
Wow.
And I was given the opportunity to maybe vent my guilt and apologize for what happened, and to say that it was an accident and it was not meant to be the way it should be. Uh, because it happens in such a safe surrounding, uh, all these people end up to be your dearest friends uh, when in your future life. And I think with both of them, I still communicate, and I still have a very warm and strong bond. Just like Dipti says, these are people whom you can reach out to in the toughest of times. The other unfolding for me in the breath work was, like Dipti says, to a very large to a very large extent, my body never lies. Till date, my body will begin its processing before the vision and the audio follow it and give me insights. But another very, very bold and very strong memory, which in a way put me through a lot of turmoil after that, and also gave me some sense of identity, if I may say so. These days, I don't like the word identity because it's hard for me to cling on to any identity. So, but for the lack of a better word, it did give me some identity. In a very deep meditation, when you breathe for 45 minutes, and then you come to that pause where you are one with everything, I began to see a very, very eminent saint in Maharashtra, the one who has led the Varkari cult here, or the Varkari Sampradaya in Maharashtra, Saint Jnaneshwar. I saw him very crystal clearly, and with him, in the 13th century Marathi, because he was a saint in the 13th century. I don't know. I am a Maharashtrian, all right, but Marathi is not my forte because I educated in a convent school. I have not written much in Marathi. I can read it well, but I have not written so much in Marathi. I had this long dialogues with Sant Jnaneshwar in Marathi, in 13th century Marathi, and I actually reproduced it afterwards on paper. I honestly am bad with memory, so I don't recall all the words, but what it said was that, there is no difference between you and me. Because Jnaneshwar is known as Mauli. Mauli in Marathi means mother. So he said, if you are also a mother and I'm also a mother, and we are same in every aspect. We are Nirankar, Nirjiv, whatever the four phases of nothingness are, the four descriptions of nothingness are. That writing, that unfolding, or that channeling, if you may call so, has had a very profound impact on me ever since. And I often go back to those writings and see what more I need to immerse in it, what more I need to understand through it. Was very, very profound. So that's, having said, that's one thing. Another experience was the water birthing. In the water, I didn't want to enter. There was a lot of reluctance in me to enter the water. So I was sitting there on the bench, and Dr. Newton was in the pool, and he very gently nudged me and he said, "Okay, don't get into the pool, but come and immerse your legs. Is that okay with you?" And I said, "Yes, it's um, still, I'm not the kind who would go and say, 'No, I will not listen to you.' I'm not the rebel kind." So I said, "Okay, I'm sure you know something more, and that's why you're encouraging me to get into the water." Uh, so I got into the water, uh, and obviously, as was expected, uh, something uh, very deep began to churn in me, and it became so immersive that for the first time I cried profusely. And after my cry was over, I went into a very, very deep uh, samadhi where I was hearing Sanskrit chants and even saying them through my mouth. I didn't know this was happening until another dear friend of ours who was nearby, he actually came to check on me if I was okay. And then he realized that I'm actually chanting something. I had lost the sense of where I am, what I am. But it began to give me, that particular experience began to give me a sense of uh, not really trying very hard to, or being adamant about belonging somewhere, because all is oneness. Uh, and everybody and everything else is an extension of myself. They are simply myself in another body, having another experience, was the takeaway of that meditation or that experience for me. There are no words to express what really changes in your body, what really happens in your body. But it was a very, very deep experience indeed, even at that point of time. I remember one of my friends actually told me after that, I was penning down all that was coming to me through that channeling. Um, and she said, "Looks like you're going to write a big volume of these channelings." And I just looked at her and I smiled because I didn't think it was that, but it was very meaningful at that point in time, whatever was uh, unfolding. Phew, that's with rebirthing breathwork. If it's okay that I take on some more time, or I'll stop here and then express my experiences in inner child. So it's your call, really.
Yeah, sure. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's amazing. How
Yeah.
beautifully each of these elements bring up so much that is there within us, isn't it? It's so amazing for us. Uh, for some of us, like me at least, it was not until we attended these kind of workshops that we realized it's one of the five elements: water, fire. These are not just swimming pool or just a candle. No, more than that. These are some natural elements. I did not realize it until a long time. And now, when you're sharing how just entering into the pool a little bit, even just immersing your legs in the water, brought out so much. I was finding that connection of emotions and water, and how beautifully you have shared all of your experiences. It's so amazing. Thank you,
And
Swapnamay.
I'm sure it's not possible without the little magic that the doctors do and create. And not to
So
forget Sri
true.
Devi ma'am. She,
Yeah,
in her own right, is a huge master too, and she knows when to nudge you and to bring your
yeah.
attention to something that needs to be paid attention to.
So true, so true. Without any of them, all four of them, Dr. Newton, Dr. Lakshmi, Sridevi ma'am, and Rashika sir, they are just so perfectly, uh,
In
what do
sync,
you
yeah.
say, in sync, and
I
they are like the perfect four pillars of QLU.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes,
And
sometimes I say this
mm,
about the four of them. I feel like they are one soul, four bodies.
yeah, yeah, that's amazing. That's one thing we can say that.
Yeah.
That's true. Otherwise, it's not possible to be so much in sync, right? So beautifully mentioned. Thank you. Thank you. We will also hear from Mitaji. Mitaji, can you share your experiences? Have you attended the rebirthing breathwork also, or what all are your most influential programs for you?
I have attended only Fast Liberation, 6 day workshop, and Abundance and Kundalini. But I would like to continue my experience with PLR 6 day workshop. As I spoke earlier, I had lost my husband in 2006. Um, I had lot of inner child issues, and also when my husband passed away, all of a sudden he was not sick or anything. He had gone for a business travel, and what happened that we lost him. So it was a big shock for us family. And when it happened, uh, on the spot, I got this frozen shoulder. Both my shoulders got frozen. My period stopped absolutely, and I developed pain in the coccyx. It was so unbearable that I was unable to sit. And after sitting, it took me almost 1 full minute to come to a particular position where it will pain the least. And in that situation, I was working in the University of Pune, where I was doing my MPhil also. When I had gone there, I had gone with these three problems, and my room partner was um, Rajkumari Sharia. And also on when we were working on ourselves, she was um, working on me, and I was having this. When I have gone there, it was very firm in my mind that if only I can get out of this physical problem. See, past life I don't know, because as Dipti says, I am a kinesthetic. So vision, a big no. It was only the physical feeling and emotions. So when I had decided with myself that if only I can come out of this physical problem, which I'm actually experiencing in this moment, then only I can actually believe that this works. Because I was learning basically to use this as a tool for my research. So if it is working for me, then only I am sure that I can use it as my tool. Poor thing, she worked on me for this particular issue of tailbone problem, the pain over there. Because this frozen shoulder, with the help of yoga and some massage, I had overcome it. But this particular problem went on almost for 2 years. And she kept on asking me, now what is happening, what happened, imagine, make up a story. And I was like, why should I make up a story? She said, it's fine. Make up a story, it's fine. I was wondering why she's asking me to make up a story. I'm here to work on my problem. But she insisted. And she was a senior to me, and she has already learned this. She had done this course with somebody else also before. So I had little faith in her. Okay, she's saying this, then let me create a story. And one by one, it happened that in one lifetime, I was, what do you say, shikari. Okay, in the jungle, that was a tribes person, and we were hunting, and a group of young boys, they were going, and we had made a trap to trap animal. And for some reason, while running, I fell down in that same trap which we had made, and I fell with such a huge thud. that when I was narrating this so-called story, I felt a shooting pain on the same place. She says, okay, go make another story. So in that story, it was like I am on a horse, riding it really fast, and again I fell down from the horse, thud, and the same time I got shooting pain on the same place. Again, she told me make a third story because she wanted to reach the root cause. I did not understand, but anyway, I kept on making stories, and in that it was like I was in a I was a soldier and fighting in the battlefield, and I was killed. Somebody from behind with a spear. So it was very sharp thing, and that was the thing when I cried aloud. Again, she told me to make a story, and I said, I'm sick of making stories. If you can work on me, please work on me, but I will not make up any other story. So that is where she stopped. She worked on me. Later on, also, Nitin sir came, helped her. And today I can say very proudly that after that moment, that my physical problem, the pain that I was in, has gone. I was sitting while working in the university because I had gone to the doctors. And all the doctors, I visited three good doctors of Pune, and they told me that you cannot do anything about this. There's only one thing you can do is a surgery of the spine, which is very, it's not advisable. All you can do is sit on a cushion ring. So I used to have two cushion rings, one in the university, one at the house, and that's it. But that day onwards, I got out of that pain, and also
Oh,
it came out that because later on when I talked to Dr. Newton about this, how to understand this. So he explained me that your pain was in the root chakra, right? Almost root chakra. And because you lost your husband in such a sudden manner, the it it was a trigger for you to this pain to come. Also, I was in a deep pain or suffering or worry that how will I manage, because we are never ready for this final departure. And that also all of a sudden, I had two young daughters. I had to take care of them. They were just freshly graduated after the college. And to be very honest, except for my house, I did not have any money to run my day-to-day expenses, even for a month. And it was a big jolt for me because all the responsibility of running the house, taking care of the children, and also to deal with the situation that had come upon. It was very difficult for me, and that is what how he explained me, and I really understood that okay, this means that I have to take charge of my life. I have what has happened. I have no control, right? But after understanding this, what I can do is take charge of my life, be in control, and do what best I can do to take care of my children and myself. And during that time only, I think it was the third or fourth day of the 6 day residency program, and one demonstration was going on, Sai Sridhar Janardhan. On him, Dr. Newton was demonstrating something, and it triggered one of my past lives. And I started crying. It was so unbearable that I left the hall. I went into the another room, and Shruti ma'am was sitting. I just went to her, and in her lap, I just cried and cried and cried. After some time, I came back, sat in my seat. Next to me was again Rajkumari, And after coming, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, I started smelling very strong fragrance of red roses. And initially, I started looking around because till then there was no fragrance. There was no fragrance any kind. Not even forget about red roses, but no fragrance was there. And all of a sudden, it started. I tried to check, but no, there is nothing. Nobody's having the rose in their hand and nothing. And a time came when I lost all my senses, so to speak. My eyes were closed, and from the bottom of my feet to my entire body, top of my head, every atom of my body, every cell of my brain was filled with this sweet fragrance of red roses. And I don't know how long I was in there. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 2 minutes, I have no idea. But I suppose by the time lunch break came and Rajkumari called Dr. Newton and she said, something is happening since few minutes. Very gently, Dr. Newton placed his hands on my shoulders and very gently he asked me to open my eyes. I opened my eyes and he asked me what is happening. I narrated what was happening and still I was unable to sit because my entire body was from within, it was vibrating, very heavy vibrations. And Dr. Newton just looked into my eyes and told me, you know what, Neetaji, this fragrance is of Sai Baba and he is your master and he has done internal transformation for you. And henceforth, you will be a different person. But believe me, I was not happy with that because I never liked Sai Baba. I did not believe in Sai Baba. And I had all the reasons because I I used to go. There is a place near Shirdi called Sakori, and this that is our family place. But I never go. And that place, that particular person to whom we go, is the direct disciple of Sai Baba, Sri Upasni Maharaj. Okay, but I always say that Baba has Sai Baba says that whatever I have, I've given it to Upasni Maharaj. So he doesn't exist now. But one thing leading to another. After that, one of my dear friends, she is also Dr. Nathan student, um, and she came and gave me one of the books, Fakir Trilogy, and I said no, kept it aside. For 2 months, I did not read. One fine night, I was like, get up and read this book. I said, okay, I'm reading. And that night, I completed the entire book and I could feel that this book was written for me. Of course, everybody would feel that because there is always something that you can, take from that. Then again, a very good dear friend, Samta Shah, she came and she gave me Baba's photo. And I said, okay, Baba, I surrender. You are my master. And henceforth, I will do whatever you tell me. And that is the beginning for me. And Baba has never stopped my work, my research, uh, everything, everything he has arranged, uh, including the who will design the cover of the book. That is, if you know, I'm sure you must be knowing Ananta Om. She painted she made the cover of my book. All the subjects coming for it. It was sent by Baba, and how to because 100 case studies I had to give to the university. For the research, experimental research, you have to give 100 case studies. And I was like, Baba, आपने मुझे इसमें डाल दिया, just 100 लोगों को भेजो. And Baba says, you don't need 100 people. Girl, you just need 15 people take them into 7 different lifetimes in different religions when they were born, in different cultures. And after that death, what happened to them? Cross examination ho jayega, same soul, living many lifetimes in different bodies, in different genders, different religions, different part of the world. And their experience will give you the result for what we have asked you to do this research. And as it is said that it's never looking back. And so
Wow.
yes, and Baba has gradually led me to Babaji and given me the Diksha. So yes, it started with Dr. Newton, and as it is said, no, that as you grow, you will have the teachers of different grades. When you cross one grade, you will get another teacher of different grade. And yes, it will happen with me, and I'm so grateful because the door was opened by Dr. Lakshmi and Dr. Newton to both where I am today. And I've really got such wonderful friends as both Swapnamai and Dipti have shared. Dr. Rahul, Samtasha, Jamuna from Bangalore, and Radhika Rawat, Hira, many people, and we are really good friends. And yeah, thank you, Dr. Newton, Dr. Lakshmi, and even this 20 days Soul Coach training program in a very different way. It was a very great experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Meetaji. It is so amazing to hear your beautiful experiences, and we would like to know more about the Soul Coach program also. After a little while, I'll get back to you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And coming back to Deepti, again, Meetaji has emphasized the same message that she has shared earlier, and it is so important for all of us. That's why I suppose both of you have shared. It's about taking self responsibility. Even Meetaji has shared the same thing, and it is not a coincidence, I'm sure. It is so beautiful. So, spirituality teaches us self responsibility. That is so profound, and thank you so much for this message. Can you share more of your experiences, Deepti?
I have been on this journey and I'm still on this journey. And wherever I feel like I'm listening to so much already, like when Sapnamai Didi was also sharing her experiences. So everything just came in front of my eyes. And I remember the experience that I really remembered immediately while she was sharing was that on the last day, like I'm really fond of dancing, and all my group mates know that when music on means Dipti button on. So on the last day of breathwork workshop, we were like, no, Dr. Newton, we want a party, we want a party, we want to dance, we want to dance. And I used to always see Dr. Newton holding people's hand and bringing them into the circle. Like, okay, come dance, come dance. And because I used to be the one who would always dance, so he would not come and hold my hand to make me come and dance. So that day I decided that no, until like before that, in my own this thing, I was like contemplating and seeing that am I on the right path, what is happening, am I really going in the right direction. So I told my own self that the day Dr. Newton holds my hands and brings me into the circle and takes me to dance with him will be the day when my journey will be like an 8. It will be like where it started and now it's coming to a full circle. Like Didi used to always, we used to share a lot during the classes, and she's like, I have come a full circle. I was like, when will I come a full circle? These people keep talking, I have come a full circle, I have come a full circle. So let me also experience what is a full circle. And that was my first ever experience to really I was in the deepest trance, which I had never experienced before. I didn't know. I was like, I had heard Osho always say that be the dance and the dancer drops. So that time when Dr. Newton actually took me into that circle and we were in that light, honestly, there was real experience of feeling the source there with us. And I was just after that, through for quite some time, I was just in tears and tears. We all were there together, and then Devi ma'am came, and she really touched me and like, wow, you are my baby. And then yes, I also felt that in some lifetime she has been my mother and always. So that was one very deep and profound experience of the workshop with Dr. Newton. That so she came and said that not only he danced with you, he was there with you in that light. And this light will now guide you, and that light is in you now. So then thereafter, that light has always guided me. And another, like when there was a PLRC convention, so I had not attended many conventions, but somehow that convention pulled me, and the theme of that convention was integration. So I went up to ma'am and I asked her, ma'am, I've done all your workshops now. I have been through this journey and I'm moving on. So now what next? So she was like, integrate now. Bring whatever you have learned, now bring it into your life and start practicing it. So thanks to the masters, I am walking the talk. Whatever I speak and whatever I do, I walk that talk. And I'm really deeply grateful to both of them. Again, I'll say to make me what I am today.
Wow.
So
Isn't
I'm
it beautiful?
so I'm just integrating everything they have taught me, and I'm bringing it and sharing it, and through the ways I can share. So Soul Setu Wellness is also one way. And me, Ambika ji, and one of our friend Pooja, we are sharing whatever we have learned through our masters and bringing it to people. And we all believe walk your talk.
That's
And we
beautiful.
really,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, please. It's
So
so
that's
amazing to know that our masters are such that they won't ask you to just keep doing workshops, more workshops, more workshops. No, they will say, now stop, integrate, apply it in your life. Isn't that the real teaching? That is so amazing.
yes, that's what I shared in the beginning, that they are not masters who will make you dependent on them. They say you are
Yeah,
your own master. Just be that and walk your path. So that
yes,
is what we have learned from them, and that's what we share when we share our work. That you be you.
amazing. It's amazing, Vicky.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And Swapnamai, please share some more of your experiences. We're so looking forward.
Uh, okay. So some of the things I really resonated with through Mitaji speaking of Sai Baba. And then again, Dipti sharing about the workshop. That moment is like it happened a while ago. I remember her ecstasy that day. I remember her joy that day. Uh, so yeah, it just brings back a lot of thoughts and memories. It's amazing. Uh, Sai Baba too has held my hand very closely. He still does when I am in despair, in a space of loneliness. Um like you, I have also been a skeptic my most life. The first time I went to Shirdi, I was actually dragged along with one of my friends. But I know this is apart from the point, but I would still like to share since you spoke about the reluctance. So after standing in that line for 3.5 hours, I go right in front of Sai Baba and I hear him talk to me. He says, Sopan, you took so long. And I'm like, Sopan? I mean, I'm not Sopan, and I don't recall seeing a past life as Sopan. Uh, so I was still quizzed in my head when you know how the volunteers there nudge you gradually to move out of the space. So I moved out and I came out and I asked my mom, who is Sopan? And my mom said that I know that Jnaneshwar's brother is Sopan Dev. So I said, true, but they are not contemporaries and there's no point of he calling me Sopan. Uh, I went out in the market space and I walked into a shop and the shopkeeper, I tend to engage in conversation quite easily, effortlessly with strangers. And we started talking and, I was buying some things and then he said, my grandfather used to sit next to Sai Baba and this shop has been there since then and etc. etc. And I'm like, oh really? So do you know who Sopan? I asked him abruptly. And he said, yeah, that shop there, that is started by Sopan. And he said he was a small child when Sai Baba was alive. And most of the children in Shirdi then were very fond of him. So I felt very privileged that, this is how he touches my life. But to go on and beyond, that night, we were all women. We were a party of 8 women and 3 young children with us. And the axle of our cab just broke, and we are stranded in the middle of this jungle. Nowhere to go, no one to see, nothing to do. Uh, Others were paranoid about what will happen. Our driver didn't know how to leave all the women and walk away to get a mechanic, and completely stranded. And then a friend of mine just at that moment writes to me saying that, did you reach home? And I said, no, this is what has happened. We are stranded. It's like 11:30 in the night. And he says, should I send you a car from Shirdi to pick you all up? And I said, wait, don't do it. Let me figure out what is happening. I sat down and I prayed and I said, what is this? Why this kind of an obstacle? And then Sai Baba comes and tells me, you didn't wait. You came after such a long time. It's unfair that you went away without really spending time with me. And it struck me, and I promised him, I said, the first opportunity I get, I'll come back. And that's a promise. But for now, take care of us. There are 3 young children with us. And that moment, from nowhere, a two-wheeler came. Our driver spoke to him, and the two-wheeler guy very happily obliged him. He took our driver. The driver locked us in the car so that nobody could harm us. And he got a mechanic along at 12:30 in the night. He fixed our axle and we reached Pune at 2 in the night. A week after that, I did get an opportunity to return. And that day, trust me, I was received in Shirdi like I was a VIP guest. I had no pass. I had nothing. Somebody escorted me straight to the place where they serve prasadam. I was asked to eat first. So I ate my stomach full first. And then somebody escorted me straight to Sai Baba's feet. And then I sit there, I talk to him, I get all my inputs, and very fulfilled, I walk out and I return home. So such is Sai Baba's grace too. If you believe and if you can, you can really talk to him. He is very approachable. He's one of the masters who will just hug you and take you along. So yeah. Having said that, experiences with Dr. Newton. I will pick up Inner Child this time, since I've already spoken about PLR and rebirthing principles. Inner Child was again a very profound experience. It was our first batch, so we were chock-a-block. So we were a lot of us were sharing. 4 of us were sharing one room and things like that. But we were in Goa. So I think it's the second morning, and Dr. Newton asks us to go out for early morning walk on the beach. Now, I fundamentally like to stay to myself, and I am quite a shy person. Having said that, I was walking along by myself with this other friend of mine from Pune, and somewhere midway, I realized Dr. Newton is walking along with me. And he didn't say a word. He was just listening to the conversation happening between this friend of mine and me. Now, this other friend loved the sea water. And I was sort of keeping away from the ocean water and walking along the ocean, not bothering to enter it. And I was saying to her that I'm not an ocean person. I'm not a sea person. I am a mountain person. And I say this often, so maybe Dipti has heard it sometime from me. But anyways, and she asked me why, and I said because I feel the ocean conceals too much, and the mountains bring it to the fore. Though they are difficult to conquer, they show you when you reach up, they show you the whole big picture. I have been a trekker when in my younger days, so obviously the mountains call me more. And he was listening quietly all along, okay? And as usual, he was just smiling. He didn't ask me a question. He didn't say anything, nothing, not a word. And then we walk along, and then he very quietly enters the water, and he starts his playful self, and then he picks up a few rocks, and then he's bringing them out, and I say, doctor, can I get one of the one you have picked? I want to have it. I'm going to use it. So very joyfully he looks at them and he says, I think this one is for you. And then he hands it over to me and he says, come Swapnamai, let's do some sand play. So whatever the 3 or 4 us are, we go there and we go really behind, backwards, where I didn't think the water would reach. We sat there and he started playing. The minute I started playing with the sand, Dr. Newton is sitting right next to me, like on my left hand side, very busy, childlike, playing with the sand and creating something. And for a while, I didn't know what I wanted to make. And then I start making this Shivalinga, because that's another thing that just pulls me, drives me. For me, everything culminates into the Shivalinga. Everything, any master, anything, it just culminates into that. And then into that is the light, the nothingness, and all that is. So for me, it has always been like that. So obviously, I started making the Shivalinga. Well, the Shivalinga came out fine. And then I started digging. I wanted to have a door from below the Shivalinga. So I'm trying to pull out the sand little by little, little by little. And midway, the sand began to collapse. And I said, this is not going to happen. I cannot defy gravity. That's what I said. And the minute I said that, Dr. Newton said, that's not true. And I fell into a very deep trance right there on the sand. And as soon as I got into the trance, some voice told me that I should not open my eyes till the water comes and hits me. And I said, nonsense, that will never happen. I'll be sitting here till afternoon. Nothing will happen. So I still surrender. Obviously, I had to surrender because I was in a space of surrender. I surrendered and I'm listening, and it told me multiple things. It told me about my parents, and most of y'all know it, but for those who don't, my father was in a road accident when I was 13, and he was left paraplegic after that for a very long period of time. So I was questioning, where does all this end? When does this all go? Where is my mother to go? What is to happen? Where will I find my leaves? When will my life begin? And stuff like that. That was the reason why probably I took to this path so early. And it told me a lot of things. It showed me how my father, in a way, would very lightly just move on, and that he's actually already surrendered to all that is, and it will happen in time. And my mother, it showed that she went deep into the ocean and began to find the gems within her. Having felt satisfied with that, and with whatever information I got about my daughter and about my husband, and then again I went into a very zero space, trying to obey the diktat of that voice saying that, you have to sit here till the water touches you. It was funny, but everybody had gone from my vicinity by that time. And trust me, but exactly 40 minutes on, a wave came and hit me, and it took away the sand that I had piled in front of me. And then, of course, the message that you can defy gravity. Gravity is simply another physical function to keep things in its place. It's about this 3D dimension. You can defy gravity. And then, of course, I could go and join the others in the water, play with them. I came back. I didn't have a heart to go back to the room because I knew there would be people rushing to shower and things like that. So I went, and there was a swimming pool right in the middle of that resort. So I jumped. I just took a shower because I didn't want the sand to enter the pool. I took a shower and I jumped into the pool. And in the pool, never ever, I've been a swimmer all my life, but my waist would always sink into the water, and I would just go down. I would stand erect. I had not learned to float in the real sense. That day, effortlessly, all the thing I was saying to myself is, I can defy gravity. I can defy gravity. And on that pool, I lay in meditation, and then uh, everything around me simply crackled into atoms, molecules, numerous of them, all interplaying with their colors, all playing. And I was in this state, I don't know for how long, because I didn't wake up until another friend of ours, Prakriti, came and yelled at me. She didn't know my name then. So she said, "Hey, you." She kept saying, hey, you, come out, come out. She was scared. She thought something's wrong with me. Until, she really nudged me in the hand, and I woke up, and I just saw the doctors walk into the lecture room, and I was like, oh my, I'm still here. What do I do? I went up, I got dressed, and I went to the classroom, still trying to bring into focus what had happened then. It has taken me enormous time to understand what that experience was, to come to really terms with, such things happen, such magic opens up in front of you off and on. Since then, of course, it opened up a few times. It opens up often now sometimes when I care to really give that kind of intense attention to something. So yeah, that was my inner child experience, which
Wow, that's
I think remains
beautiful.
as one of the highlights in my experiences with Dr. Newton, with Dr. Lakshmi. Yeah. And
So
there's a
amazing.
lot more. There's a lot more, but
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to bring what was the most important to me on the reason for why I've kept to this practice, the reason why I continue walking this path, the reason why my perspective keeps growing wider and wider and wider, and then coming back into perspective, and then again grows wider and wider. And I think, like all of us have said again and again, it has been possible because I've never once heard Dr. Newton or Dr. Lakshmi not encourage you to look at other work, other masters. Uh, they are always very happy if you are willing and you choose to try and practice something else. They never put barricades around you. They really, really want you to take your own path and walk your own path.
So true. Thank you so much,
Thank
Swapnima. You've
you.
also made us realize one more thing that we don't necessarily need to learn only in the classroom. We also learn from each and everything, every incident in life, not just in the retreat, but even outside,
Yes, all the
everywhere.
time.
Ah,
Yeah,
all the time.
all the
It's so
time.
amazing.
So that is the reason the only identity I like to stick to is a student. That's it. That's all I am. I'll
Beautiful.
stay that. I'll stay that, I guess.
Even every word, even every gesture of the masters you have observed and shared so beautifully, learning from each and everything. So amazing.
This too, I think, is something that ingrained after watching Dr. Newton, listening to other people as if he knows nothing. I know he might be listening to the same stories again and again, but every time
Yeah.
listening with the kind of intent as if it's the first time he has ever heard it. And I think that's something that is amazing. And I think that's something, even if I can bring that to my being to about 20%, I think that would be nice.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. Today's messages are so beautiful and so practical to be applied in reality, in real life. All of you are really teaching us how to integrate, basically. Isn't it?
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. Thank
And Meeta ji, I request you to kindly speak a little bit, share a little bit about the Soul Coach transformational program and your experiences, especially during the Karma Yoga in the classes. There are so many activities, of course. Please share however you felt, whatever you feel like sharing.
Mm, yeah. It was like um, I had. It was a first experience for me to um, share a room with somebody, to be with so many people at the same time for 10 long days, and also many more things were first time for me. But the most that I enjoyed was the early morning Shramdan after the exercise and little meditation. The Shramadhan, I really, because I could connect with the earth, I could connect with the animal, like because I used to work, I worked one day with the cows, and one day I requested Dr. Newton that today please let me work with the dogs that we have on the campus. So along with Dr. Rahul and Sanjeevni Johri and one more other person, we worked with the dogs also. I worked actually for 3 days with the dogs, and the communication with the dogs, it was amazing. And one thing I would like to really share, no offense meant. Okay, in my life, I have never had a bath with cold water. Now this was December. In first term also, it was a cold water bath, but it was okay because it was not winter season, right? But this was December, and I was really upset because I knew that I am unable to even feel cold water on my body. And I had repeatedly asked, um, called and about the water geysers. Are they are they installed or not? And from the answer, I felt that I should carry one rod for me to heat the water. But what happened that rod never worked. Okay, we used the light went off again, light went off. So we had no chance to use that rod and having a hot water bath secretly. That is number one. Number two, when I had to have a bath because I'm coming from Shramdana, from the dog and the cow and the mud, I'm coming from the grass. I have to have the bath. So I am just giving all the possible bad words to that cold water because I don't want you on my body, but I can't help it. I have to have you on my body because you are the only person who is going to clean my body. But believe me, um, those days, all 10 days, intensity of my resistance towards the cold water went down. But today, I can say that I don't have that. I have to have a hot water bath because now, today, there was a time when I used to have bath with absolutely piping hot steaming water. Okay. Today, that intensity of the hotness of the water has gone down by 90%. And I can, even in this weather in Pune, I can have cold water bath. So that is one big transformation has come into my life. However much we may laugh about it, but when we say that we create our own reality, right? That's what we are told. And I experienced that now it is almost 6 to 8 months after that, and I'm still not having that hot water bath as compared. Number two, I would like to narrate and share is that I lost my mother when I was 3 years old. She committed suicide. Okay, in the 6-day workshop when we had to speak about ourselves, I had spoken about it, and while I was speaking, I had cried. And at the same time, I was saying that I have gotten over it. Okay? So very gently, ma'am told me later on that you may feel that you have gotten out of it, but you have not. I said, what makes you think so? So she said, because while saying that, you are crying. So still there is something left within you which you are holding on to. Just leave it. All said and done, it was difficult to leave. But during this 6-day work, this full coach training program, uh, one day ma'am had taken the inner child thing, class. And in that, we were supposed to go into the womb of the mother. And that was the time I realized very strongly, it came to me that my parents actually they were thrown together. They did not want to get married to each other, but they were thrown together. And she was not happy to have a baby in her tummy. It was not accepted by her. And then whatever happened, she committed suicide. So that was released on that day in Soul Coach Training, inner child session with ma'am. So I have really, to be very honest, that was one thing I was working a lot on myself because I did not know what was the reason that I'm not able to come out of it. Even though I'm saying that I'm over it. But when ma'am told me that when you cry and when you still feel sad about it, means you have not come out of it. And this is the I can say this is proof that I am speaking just now. I'm not crying, right? As a
Yeah.
third person, I'm narrating my experience. So I can proudly say now that I have come out of it. So these are small knots within that we all have. And when we are made aware of them, it is our responsibility, given all the tools and all the guidance, it is our responsibility to come out of it ultimately. Because that's what others can do for you. Teachers or guru or any technique, ultimately they are out external things. But what matters is how you handle and overcome internally without any mask to show people, oh, I've come out of it, I have no problem. No, we all have problems. We all have problems. From inner child to victimhood to whatever you may give a label. But if I feel, if I say that I'm on this path, it is my duty and my responsibility to bring all the tools, training, guidance, and integration together and come out of it. And that's one thing. Of course, I enjoyed Sunita's diet, all those
Yeah.
10 days. Initially, we all were feeling very hungry because there was no solid food. But as later on, gradually, at least I could uh, sustain those 10 days without any complaint. But it helped us.
Wow.
Means if you make up your mind and if you stick to it and consistently, then you can achieve. Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful, Amitaji. You have also shared such in a different way how we can learn from every experience of life, from having bath, we how we are always in our own comfort zone, but how you have overcome it and you are seeing the results even now. To even the food pattern that was so new, but you have just simply accepted it, and that's it. That made things easier, life easier. And that's so amazing. That's so inspiring. So, yeah, basically, I believe we are all here to learn from everything and integrate, integrate, integrate. It's so beautiful. Yeah, and Deepti, can you also please share the last message of for this episode so we can just meditate for a while and end the session?
So what I learned from Dr. Newton's this word of that you create your own reality. This I don't know how far I this has sunk in me that I create my own reality, but what it helped me is I came out of the blame zone to responsibility zone. And from pointing the finger outward, I took responsibility that if this has happened to me, it is because of me. And I have
Wow.
only created this. So it's me who can forgive this also and come out of it. So from blaming the other person that you made, you hurt me and you are the villain of my life, that taking up that responsibility and saying that no, because I am in this situation, it is me who is responsible for it, helped me forgive that other person. And by forgiving that other person, it helped me to free me. So that is what actually, if we really see that we create our own reality, makes us to take that responsibility. And when we take the responsibility, we can easily free ourselves from victimhood or perpetratorhood or from blaming others to being being a free and fly high.
That's beautiful. Thank you for this beautiful, amazing message, Deepti. You have summarized everything for today, for from the episode of today. It's so beautiful. And let's meditate on this for 5 minutes. We have um, already taken so much time, but I'm sure people are enjoying it so much. That's why everyone is sending us beautiful messages on how inspiring and amazing your experiences are and how amazingly they are helping them. We see comments from so many people, so beautiful, so inspiring friends. Thank you so much for being there. Let's all meditate for a while and integrate the lessons of today. So, this is a simple meditation that we do, Anapanasati. Just simply cross your feet, take a back rest if you need. Just sit comfortably, clasp your fingers like this, and close your eyes. Be with your normal, natural breath. Your breath knows everything. Allow your breath to guide you, go deeper within yourself, and integrate, sink in all these beautiful messages that our Sangha members have shared today. Taking self-responsibility. We create our own reality. There's nobody to blame. Be with your breath as these messages sink in. Let us be open to learn each and every moment, each and every incident that life brings us. As we observe the breath, last 2 minutes, listen to your inner voice. As you observe your breath, back to the present moment. Your inner wisdom, feeling grateful for today's session, all who made this possible, everyone who is teaching us constantly with a beautiful smile. Let us come back to this waking moment by placing our palms on your eyes, gently removing your palms. Open your eyes. I really express my deep gratitude to each one of you. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing wisdom that you have learned all these years. You have really summarized to us and shared it with us so that we can also be helped through all your learnings. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today, friends. Thank you,
Thank you,
Swapnamai. Thank you,
Harika, for
Neetaji.
holding space
Yes.
Oh,
uh,
thank you.
so wonderfully.
And really grateful to the entire QLU team who's been working behind and also Harika in the front. Thank you to Dr. Newton, Dr. Lakshmi for believing in us that yes, we will be on this platform and we will deliver with authenticity. So that's really very, important that
Thank,
they believe in us. So we are
thank
really
you for
grateful.
this opportunity. Thank you for this
Yes.
opportunity. Yeah.
And thank you, Harika, because last time it was a disaster at my home. And today, so sweetly, she again approached and we tried, practically how to do it. She taught me. And so, thank you so much. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Lakshmi,
you.
Dr.
Thank
Nitin, for having us here. And it was nice to share. And I think that was the day for Ravindra, right? Not for anybody. Like
you.
we were to have this same session with Sanjivani Johri and Dr. Manjari Gokhale and myself, but instead
Hmm.
the entire thing was for meant for him. And today
Yeah.
I was to be with Swapnamai and Dipti. So first time we have met each other. Thank you. So nice to
Thank
meet
you. Yeah,
you.
same here.
So glad, friends. Thank you so much. And tomorrow again, we will have our master with us at 5 o'clock. Please keep watching. And we are so glad. Thank you for your support. See you again
Thank,
tomorrow at 5.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.